For my conference presentation, I will be presenting on the history of the United States Air Force. So the United States Air Force is one of the world's most powerful military divisions, responsible for national security, not only through the air, but a bunch of other different things like cybersecurity and nuclear deterrence. So the origins of the Air Force can be dated back to August 1st, 1907, when the United States Army Signal Corps established a division to be put in charge of military balloons and air machines, as well as other aeronautical operations. So as you can see here pictured below, the type of machinery they were doing with it, they just kind of look like big hot air balloons, but they usually were used for reconnaissance, as pictured here. So mostly consisting of artillery spotting, battlefield observation, and mapping terrain. That's what the reconnaissance consisted of. And this balloon here, pictured, is a reconnaissance balloon 1. So really the first reconnaissance balloon that the military used. A fun fact about these types of balloons is you can't really tell in this picture, but these were always tethered to the ground because they're not like the hot air balloons we know today. These ones are filled with lighter than air gases that cause them to fly up, so they didn't really have much say in where they would go and how they could get up or down, so that's why they were always tethered to the ground. So during World War I, there was a massive growth period for military aviation. The United States decided they were going to establish the Army Air Service in 1918. This led to more funding and advancement for this aviation. The reason they did this was because aviation became crucial for reconnaissance, air combat, and close support. During the World War I timeline, the first American aces emerged, such as Eddie Rickenbacker, who is pictured below in the black and white picture, and also this time led to advancements on better engines, machine guns, and more maneuverable aircraft. So after World War I, it was time for the government to really start to take military aviation seriously. In 1926, there was a reorganization to the Army Air Corps, which was slightly more independent and slightly more independently operated and strategic. Just allowed them to have a little bit more say in what they did rather than just listening to entirely what the Army had to say. So during this time, more education and training in aviation took place. Classes were offered to pilots that were more tailored to their needs, such as strategic bombing and dogfighting. Great aircraft like the B-17 were also created at this time. So during World War II, the military aviation played a key role. From 1941 to 1947, the Army Air Forces becomes a major branch under leadership of General Hap Arnold, who is pictured in the center down below. By 1944, the Army Air Forces is nearly as large as the entire Navy, so the rapid growth of the Army Air Forces just led to great expansion in aviation. So the Army Air Forces at this time also conducted massive operations such as strategic bombing in Europe, Pacific long-range bombing, and they played a key role in many battles such as D-Day. So soon after World War II, the Air Force is born via the National Security Act of 1947, which did create the Department of the Air Force. This was an equal and independent branch alongside the Army and Navy. And other than defending national airspace, one of the Air Force's first responsibilities was nuclear deterrence, since this was just after the first nuclear bomb had dropped. So once the Air Force was created, the Cold War era comes along, and fighter jets and strategic bombers are introduced. And these played a central role in the Korean War, Vietnam War, by air mobility, close support, strategic bombing, and missions such like Operation Rolling Thunder, which took place in Vietnam. The space race also came at this time in history, and the Air Force led the aerospace development. So now that we're in the modern era of the Air Force, we're focusing mainly on space, stealth, and precision, development of powerful stealth aircraft such as the B-2 and F-35, and the Air Force has had expansion into space operations and cyber defense with the recent expansion in 2019 to the Space Force. The Space Force mainly took over those space operations and cyber defense just because it was becoming such a large operation that the Air Force couldn't handle it themselves. The Air Force still remains the cutting edge of global air and space power during this time. So the U.S. Air Force evolved from simple balloons to a multi-domain powerhouse. It's just incredible how balloons can evolve to such technically advanced fighter jets like the F-35 and the F-22. It became independent because of the power proved essential to modern warfare. Without air superiority, there is no way that we could have won and be surviving many wars that we do. Today, it leads in technological global mobility, deterrence, and space operations.